that time, the men were my friends. I considered them my friends, and they would come and they'd come, pat me on the head or say hi or something. And I think from what I've heard, it was important for them too to have the connection with little children, with a family. That was something important for them.
And for years, we were on the absolute edge of severe poverty. I mean, I didn't know it, but Dad would, at the end of the day, always go down to the market and buy the bruised fruit and the vegetables they were going to throw out and the day-old bread and all that kind of stuff to feed us and the men.
That was basically the way we grew up, and we didn't really recognize that as being any different. I remember going to high school in the 60s, and I kind of just, it was the norm that my clothes were made by my mother. We always ate properly. There was a freezer. If there was meat, it was butchered. It wouldn't be hamburger, it wouldn't be steak. I mean, that was the way of life, right?
Extremely resourceful people.
Yeah.
And they weren't afraid to work really, really hard. And they weren't complainers. Like when there was something to do, they just did it.
As I always said, he was like a bumblebee. He didn't know he couldn't fly, so he just flew. And he was very energetic and forward-thinking and aggressive in his ideas. Like he had no hesitation about doing stuff. He somehow didn't know fear.
That all stems back to his faith. And, like he knew that if he was walking the walk, that God would be there for him. He took everything from the love of God and just turned around and his service and everything else was all faith-driven for God. And he just went like a mad fiend in that direction, and nothing stopped him. That was the principle that didn't change with him over the whole period of his life, was that faith just drove him.
He would, just through experience working at the mission, he would start seeing another need. And while he was still there, Quinton Warner House got started, the Women's Mission got started, the Teen Girls Home was started, a whole bunch of things, just because he kept seeing another need. Like he found ways, it just kept spreading.
For a few years, he was really kind of trying to frame what love was. And he eventually defined it as being an intelligent concern for another person's welfare.
He was always open to new ideas, philosophical or behavioral or whatever. You could come up with something right way off left field and he'd say, well, that's interesting and let's talk about it. And he would be working his way through it. He would not be being manipulative in that at all. He would be very open and interested to new ideas.
Looking back, I can definitely see that Dad was the front man. He was out there, doing God's work. But there's no way he could have come close to doing what he did without Mom in the background. She did all the laundry, the housekeeping, she supplied all the meals and took care of a family of 5 kids and, made clothes and canned and preserved and raised the food in the garden. It's like, just blows you away how she managed that stuff. And then without her, nothing Dad did would have been possible.
Another memory I really enjoy is going to the clothing center with Mom, because not only was she doing all those other things, she also went to the clothing center once a week to sort clothes with Mrs. Varley. And then in the afternoon, women came in to get clothing for their families. And so she was doing lots of work, even after we didn't live at the mission. Mom was still going into work as well.
We lived a very, very, very secure life, I think, as kids. We felt, we lived in a family that there was a ton of security. We didn't have to wonder whether we were loved or taken care of. I mean, we were just in a great environment. I mean, our parents, it was taken for granted. I mean, we just had we didn't have a lot of things, but we had a lot of family.